Welcome back, everyone, to another week here on the Pokepong server. I'm your host, Mouy, and today's episode is going to start off a little different than the others. So, last week, I went on a work trip to Florida, had a good time, and I did some work on the server from the hotel room. But I didn't have, like, my mic or anything with me, so I couldn't record any of it. And my plan was to do time lapses with the replay mod and show those at the beginning of the episode. But the problem is that replay really just does not get along with heavily modded Minecraft, and my recordings are unusable. So instead, we're going to do a little recap of everything that I did in the couple days I was gone. I started the week by making this little iron farm. It takes cobblestone, crushes it up into gravel, which then gets washed into iron and flint. It's just like the iron farm from episode 1, but a lot nicer. I was having issues with keeping the power on, so I changed the wiring on the motors. As I was getting started on the next project, the ever-mischievous Dorpong arrived and gave me a challenge. Defeat the Flamebearer alone and be rewarded with any legendary halberd of my choice. And so, I geared up. I went off and obtained a full set of hollow armor, which is equivalent to netherite, but also gives 25% lifesteal. After many, many deaths, I managed to defeat the Flamebearer, and for my reward, I chose the Thunderbrand. Following that side quest, I used the schematic cannon to make an exact copy of the iron farm, which I repurposed into a gold farm. And finally, I began work on a new level of the facility in collaboration with Foxtrot. And all that brings us here. Yep, we are out of fuel again. So it turns out the wiring was only part of the issue with the motors. And the real problem is that we're not making enough fuel. This little setup here simply is not fast enough, even with all these speed upgrades I slapped on there. So, I've got a bit of an expansion in mind. We're going to make this room a whole lot bigger and go from 2 centrifuges to 6. And that will actually match the fuel demands of our generator room instead of me just kind of winging it, which clearly did not go well. Behold, the new fuel setup. I made the room significantly bigger, decided to go for a more spacious layout here. And as I mentioned earlier, I have upgraded to 6 centrifuges, got 4 making biofuel and 2 making turbo fuel. Got all the ingredients coming in at the back corner here, and they get distributed by this this main belt going down the center. Otherwise, works exactly the same as the old setup, just bigger. As you can see over here, we are now actually profiting on fuel, which is very nice. And everything is back up and running. I've also adjusted the ordering back here to actually be the same speed as consumption, so there's no more, like, you know, kind of, but not really. It is exact. Which brings us to our next problem. This wheat farm simply is not fast enough. I've done the math, and I need to be producing 1 wheat every 2 seconds. And this wheat farm clearly is not doing that. So, we gotta expand this as well. My plan is I'm just gonna make this room taller and just put more layers and do like a big tube, and I think it'll look pretty cool. And there it is. the crop tube in its full glory. Based on the output of this, I may need another layer on top of this, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I'm just gonna monitor the fuel situation and see how it handles it. So now that that's done, we've got a new project to tackle. Redstone. I have run out of redstone, basically. Right now I have 148, which is a decent amount, but I completely ran out a couple days ago and had to go mining for more. So next on the agenda, on the list, is a redstone farm, and I know just the place to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, gays and gamers, people of all genders, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the R&D Soul Energy Division. This room is going to contain all equipment and experiments relating to the energies of life and death. And, to put it more bluntly, this is where our redstone's gonna be made. We're gonna have a silverfish farm, and then their souls are gonna get extracted to summon witches, which will then be, shall we say, disposed of for their precious redstone. This room is also where I'm going to put anything related to enchanting, skulk, XP, all that kind of stuff. And here we have the first machine of the Soul Energy Division. I call it the Soul Engine. And that sounds all fancy and dramatic, but what it really is a silverfish spawner. And I shall demonstrate that now. So, request the order, which in this case is 8 stacks of cobblestone. Here it comes now. It'll get picked up by the frog here, sent up to the conveyors up top. And on this first row, it is being smelted into stone. And then on the second row, the stone is converted into infested stone, which is stone that has a silverfish in it. And then the infested stone is placed and immediately broken, and all the silverfish are funneled up through this tube and sent over to the other side of the room. And over on this side of the room, where I've laid out this little square, the silverfish will be killed, and their souls will be extracted and used to spawn witches, which will then be killed for redstone dust. Man, that is loud. So, it's occurred to me that I haven't actually explained what's going on here, aside from cryptic weirdness. So let me do that now. This here is a spawner controller from Oritech. Basically, you slap a mob in there, and then it consumes souls to spawn more of that mob. And souls are acquired by killing mobs near the spawner controller. So that's the purpose of the silverfish farm. The silverfish get killed, their souls are used to spawn witches. Now you may notice that I've actually removed a piece of the silverfish farm. There was like a tube going up and a conveyor belt coming across, because I thought that the silverfish would need to be like over here in order for it to work. But it turns out the range on this thing is actually huge, and this is in range to spawn witches. Which means that the only piece of the puzzle missing, other than the like rest of this chamber, is the witch. So, here's one I prepared earlier. All I gotta do is take this witch and put it on top of that block, and we'll be ready to go. In order to accomplish this task, I have acquired a new tool. Now presenting the R&D Gravity Gun, which is definitely not just a telekinesis spell from Iron Spellbooks, don't tell anyone. With this wonderful device, I shall simply pluck the witch from her confinement, hoist her above, and place her upon the spawner. Now let's see if I can actually do it. Aha! Yes! Alright, got the power hooked up, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a little test of this. Just like before, gotta request cobblestone, and once it comes in, the silverfish will start getting made, and hopefully they'll get killed on this soul fire here, and witches will start spawning. So let's see if that actually happens. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. Yes. It's working. I don't know why I can't hit him properly, but it's working. There does seem to be a little bit of an issue here. I might need to slow down the conveyor belts a bit, because they're just getting, like, jumbled around and not actually falling in. So, I'll mess around with that, see if I can get it working. Changes have been made, and the farm is now functional. I fixed the issue of the witches getting stuck on the belts by moving the drop chute over to the corner. And originally, my plan for the killing chamber was to use a deployer holding a weapon with looting on it, and it would attack the witches and they'd drop, they'd drop all their stuff. Problem with that is that the deployers don't use sweeping edge, so it just wasn't fast enough. And this farm produces so much redstone even without looting, I decided to just not use it. And so instead I opted for this mechanical saw, which kills the witches very quickly, and also it shoots all of their drops onto the belt here. Because the saw, like, tries to process them, but none of the witches' drops can get processed by a saw, so it just spits them out the side. So let's do a quick little demonstration here. Alright, silverfish are coming out. Witches are being spawned. As you can see, they get killed very fast. Drops are all flowing out. Inside the wall here, I've got a brass funnel that waits for the items to pile up to a stack. I may change that to wait for 16. I'm not really sure yet, but I just wanted to reduce the amount of package spam. Another flaw with the current system is that the pipe in the wall here does not transfer the cobblestone a stack at a time. There is a solution, I just haven't implemented it yet. But what that leads to is, because the cobblestone is not coming in full stacks, it's not spreading out across all 8 deployers very effectively, and so the farm, like, isn't operating at full speed for most of the time. But that'll be a quick fix. All I had to do was add this little pipe booster block and hook it up to power. And now the pipe can transfer items in full stacks. I have also been hard at work on the farm. I went ahead and got like an actual structure built for it, so it's not just a weird like floating thing. And I have revamped the item collection system once again. So the saw was just not spitting out the items fast enough. And so what I did is I put in a backpack with an advanced magnet upgrade. And so this backpack here will automatically pick up the drops from the witch as soon as they are dropped. And it sucks them all up all at once. And then this brass funnel takes the items out of the backpack, sends them off along the belt, just like before. And I've also redone the internals here a bit. So now, instead of waiting for a certain number, it will just periodically send out items when there are items in the vault. I think it's like every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, something like that. Oh, also, Dorpong replaced my entire floor with soap. That's a next episode problem. You know, I'm starting to think I might have put a little too much sauce on this farm. I ran it for like 10 minutes as a test, and I have 11,000 redstone dust. And that is where I'm gonna end today's episode. As usual, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. It makes me really happy that these silly little videos are actually getting views and engagement and stuff. There is not going to be an episode next week, as I will be out of town and won't have time to record. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're not already, all that stuff, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!